Okay, everybody, it's Camera Work Podcast number 19. And I'm excited because I'm in Beverly Hills. We're in California for this one. It's the second one I've done out of state. We did one in Portland, Oregon, and we're in California, and we're here. And we have two guests today. We're going to start with the first guest, who's going to be Chelsea Lauren, and then we have a Blair Caldwell with us, and we're going to get to Blair in a second, okay? So before I say anything else, let me just remind everybody that the podcast is on iTunes, Stitcher, and YouTube. So wherever you're listening to it, if it's more convenient to get it at one of those other spots, check out those other spots. You might want to see what we look like sometimes, or if you watch it on YouTube, it might be more convenient to get it in a car on iTunes, okay? But the first guest that we have today is Chelsea Lauren. Hello, Chelsea.
Hello.
Right. Now, where did I meet you, Chelsea?
Met you at the BET Awards.
Right. Now,
this weekend.
Right. Now, this is the first time I've shot the BET Awards, and I've been shooting for BET like as the house photographer for 106 and Park. Mm-hmm. I've been shooting that for about 3 years now, I think. But this is the first time that I actually bothered to go out to the awards. And it was a little tricky for me because Getty was hired to shoot it, but I actually serviced through Getty as of January of this year. So it was just a matter of arranging to telling Getty, look, hey, I'm going to be there. I'm already the house guy for 106. You might as well just put me on. And they were like, okay. So I shot 106 and Park, the 3 tapings that they did as part of the BET experience. Right. So what did you shoot for the BET Awards?
I shot a premiere. Kevin Hart had a film premiere called Let Me Explain. And then, what did I shoot it? Oh, next morning I shot with a stylist named Jason Bolden at his hotel in Beverly Hills, and just got some shots of him with his outfits that he was dressing like Tatiana Leon and Lala Vasquez and whatnot. Right. And then the next day I shot panels all day, so it was like Cannon speaking with T.I., Snoop Dogg, Master P, a bunch of other awesome people, and I was literally in a ballroom for 8 hours, just shooting them talking and backstage and whatnot.
Well, that sounds really exciting.
And then as soon as I finished that, I literally had to go from there, which they're relatively close to each other, the Marriott down at the Nokia Plaza,
right,
straight to the Staples Center to shoot the Snoop Dogg, Kendrick Lamar, J. Cole.
Oh, you shot that show? How cool.
That concert, yeah.
It's funny because I'm actually going to tell that story in a second. Just keep talking.
Oh, okay. So I just had to race over there and shoot that, which was fun, trying to get between the 2 points with all the security checks in a matter of 5 minutes.
Right,
so.
Right. And then the funny thing is on I was supposed to be shooting 106 and Park, which is just the 1 day, 2 hours per day, one show per day. Mm-hmm. Although there's a ton of other events as part of the 3 days of the so-called BET experience. So on the first day, they call me up, Getty calls me or whatever, text me, however you want to say it. And they're like, oh, could you also go shoot at the Beyonce concert? There's a suite, and you need to shoot the VIPs in the suite, and can you shoot it? So I'm like, yeah, that's great, because they told me a rate for the 106 and Park tapings, which was not very high, but it's fine, whatever, it's a couple bucks, good. And I'm going to myself, okay, cool, Beyonce show, I'll go shoot that. That's the same rate times 2 now for the day. This is great. Okay, I'm going to go and shoot the Beyonce show. And thank God I got to see the show. I was so glad. I was worried.
It's on a heck of a show.
Oh, it was fantastic. I got the shots done in 20 minutes in a VIP room. And then I managed to watch the show from the VIP room. I got free food. It was great. I had a ball. So then the next day I shot only the 106 taping. And then the third day, as soon as I finished 106, they're like, oh, go backstage and shoot Lala doing this. Hold this for me. That'll probably be actually easier, right? Just go back and forth. Shoot Lala in this, she's going to be by a booth backstage doing a Twitter forward thing, and just shoot that one spot. So I go backstage, I shoot that, I'm thinking to myself, great, there's the rate times 2. I finished that gig standing on my feet for 3 hours for this particular thing. And then they text me again and they go, okay, now go shoot this red carpet, whatever you call it, arrivals at the Marriott.
For the post-show reception.
For the post-show reception, which is where I met you. And we start talking, and I go, hey, this is pretty good. This is my 3rd gig of the day. That's going to be my rate times 3. This is great. And you're looking at me kind of like, yeah, I don't know about that.
Not
really?
Necessarily.
Yeah, not necessarily. I'm like, what? And you go, I don't know, the rate they told you, which we're not going to get into the specifics of the rate. I'm only going to say it's under $500. But you're like, well, that rate is probably for whatever they send you to today. And I'm like, wow,
it's after a certain amount of hours it goes up, but
right.
Generally the rates are really, really good for the bigger events.
Right.
Not quite as great, but they're still, they're better than most people make.
Right. But it's still not what it should be, in a sense that, I started shooting, and how long ago did you start shooting?
I started shooting for Getty at the end of 2008, so September 2008.
But is that when you started shooting, period? Like paid
professionally,
gigs?
Yeah, pretty much.
Right. So
I did a bunch of other stuff for the beginning.
Right. Like I probably started getting paid record label work, let's say shooting parties in at least 1990.
That's such a baby.
You're better off, trust me. But I'm saying, and in that time, everything was $500 for a party. Sometimes you get $750, and on a rare occasion, $950. You certainly weren't getting under $500 to cover 3 events. It's a huge change. And I don't know how much of that is, say, Getty just going well, we can make more money by paying people less, or if it's really a symptom of just that pictures are selling for less money because there's so many more photos that they don't have a choice but to pay less.
I think, I don't know what specifics I can get into with how their politics work and how they get paid, but it kind of depends on the client, and it depends on what their specific deal with that client is, and their photographers get a portion of it.
Right.
And it's kind of, a lot of us have fixed portions or whatever
right.
of certain deals. With the big deals, with big clients where they have 20 photographers in a day, the rates are obviously going to be different than if you're the sole photographer for one client.
Right. Right, but it is kind of a shame how that particular aspect has changed. It really has, from what it was years ago. Because
I wasn't around for that part.
Yeah,
for me, it's the way it's always been.
Right, you're probably better off. But when I was talking to you, you said you shoot a lot, though. And mind you, all your work is through Getty. Essentially, all the work is through Getty?
Most of it, yeah. Right. I have a few private clients here and there, but for the most part, Getty keeps me very, very busy. Right,
and what's the core of what you shoot for Getty? What's a typical week like for you?
There is no typical week, which is kind of the joy of our business.
Right, of this kind of job.
Especially with Getty, because you never know who's going to call for what. I've gotten to do anything from the most mundane, boring things in the world, like shooting grass growing, not literally, to private. I did a year ago, 2 years ago, Charlie Sheen's birthday party, and it was just him and his family and his kids. So I have a lot of really fun memories and interactions. Yeah.
I've had I shot Michael Bolton, and let me have you lean closer to the mic.
Okay.
Too. Right. I shot Michael Bolton's. I was an album listening session at his house, and I was like, wow, what a cool guy! And everybody just laughs. So Michael Bolton, he's like an '80s joke with the hair and all of that. And then
big again. That Lonely Island song he came up with.
I didn't know that, but I was just like, wow, that's kind of bad that he gets this bad rep, but he's a cool guy.
Right.
So yeah, that is the cool thing.
Really cool.
When you're doing events, you can get to so many. I've been to Bobby Brown's house, these weird things you would never do in a normal job. Right. What is a normal week like for you? What's some of the stuff you did in the last week or 10 days?
Let me look. Just from June. Let's see. I can't even list them all. You guys would get really bored. But I went from shooting at the Greek Theater to shooting at the Grammy Museum, which was a Ringo Starr's thing, to True Blood premiere the next night, as well as a recording artist named Soko performing in a small venue, and to the Roxy. And then I left literally as soon as I finished shooting at the Roxy and editing my stuff, and I flew out to Seattle for the Band Sport tour.
Oh, how
and I was on that for 9 days.
Oh, wow, that's nice.
It's not necessarily through Getty. That's more friendships and connections I've made.
Right,
and
because
I go out.
What you want to happen, what happened with BET with me, is that even though I was going to shoot the BET Awards for Getty, I'm still calling my contact at BET saying, look, I need you to tell Getty to put me on for the BET Awards, because there is still some personal connection left, even though I think one of the kind of downsides of what happened today is that companies are hiring Getty and not a person, or they're hiring Wire and Wire.
It's so convenient.
Yeah, it makes sense for them, but again, there was a time that it was about the individual photographer, but I think in some ways the companies see us as interchangeable now.
They do, but there's a lot of ones that will, a lot of clients that identify certain photographers as being Getty or Wire, and when they email or call our editors, they say, hey, please send Chelsea, or please send Kevin Mays, or whoever it may be.
Right. And if you look at the BT thing that I shot, no one else could have shot what I shot, because they weren't letting anyone in the section where I shot 106 Park for the BT BET Awards.
That was the only one.
I was the only one because I know Mike, the stage manager, and I know that entire crew. I know Bow Wow, I know Angela. Right. No one else was going to get on that stage on those commercial breaks the way I did. So when it works like that, it's great. But there is that other side of it where a lot of times they are just calling Getty going, send a body to photograph this event. Right. And it's not about the individual. And it's funny because I have a friend, Tony Cuttadraw, photographer, very successful hip-hop studio photographer. And I used to tell him 10 years ago that was going to happen. And he'd be like, no, they need us. And I'd go, no. It's a big company. And instead of calling an individual, like say like Sony Records, why should Sony Records call John? Sony Records is going to call another giant company like Getty to get a photographer. Just like when they need an electrician, they call a giant company. They don't call Fred's Electric Service.
They know when they call for a Getty photographer that whatever photographer that gets sent, for the most part, they can be pretty sure that they're going to be able to get the job done, get it done well,
right.
get it done professionally.
Right.
Getty is the primary service they need. Getty or Wire Image Film Magic is the primary service they need. So as long as it gets out there and gets serviced to all the magazines and whatnot,
right,
it doesn't
that's
exactly
what they
matter
want. Right, and that's one of the reasons that it happened was because the distribution that a Getty has, or a Wire Image, or a Corbis, or whatever agency. We're not talking about Getty. We're just naming them, but I'm just talking about the difference between individual photographers and stock agencies. Yeah. But a big part of it is distribution, because if I've got the pictures, well, how do I get it in Life and Style? I don't know anyone at Life and Style. You know, if you're talking about a Wire Image or a Corbis, they can get it in all of those hands through a website that these people are searching and through personal contacts, and it does get placed, you know.
So Getty is the primary for the
right.
Getty is their primary, and then the photographer is secondary. But it's the way I look at it is it's my job as a photographer to not only produce, great images that the client would want, but also to establish some sort of relationship there, so that when they do call next time, they do say, hey, can you please send Chelsea? Because, not only is that great if it's a higher job, it's fabulous, but it's validating almost, like they like my pictures, they like me, they like, and I like building those relationships with publicists, and a lot of my jobs are through requests.
Right. But like I said, having come from a time when we didn't get work through the stock agency, in a lot of ways it is a shame, because the photographer, you had to hustle, you had to make these relationships with the clients. You couldn't just sit back and wait for the phone to ring and Getty to say, go cover ABCD. You had to find that work. You needed more skills to do it, But when you talk specifically about Getty, it drives me crazy. And you don't have to comment on this because you work for Getty way more than me. But when you upload it, let's say you shoot a job for Getty, you upload it, you use a proprietary program called GIF, which I think stands for Getty Images File Transfer. And to me, it is the worst, most aggravating program in the world. And the guy who co-hosts the show with me, the guy who usually is on the show, a guy named Ray Tamara, so he uses the program, and I can't get him to admit that it's the worst program ever. He always just goes, you don't know how to use it. And I go,
you don't know how to use it?
that's always his thing. And I go, whether I know how to use it or not will not change whether it's designed right or wrong. But essentially what the program lets you do is edit your pictures from the good ones to the bad ones, and it lets you go into Photoshop and adjust the images, and then caption them and then send them to Getty. But the program opens up 3 separate programs on your computer when you use it. Unlike, say, a Lightroom that has 4 or 5 modules, but you're still in the same program. And it just has all these awkward things, like you enter your initials because you're captioning the pictures, and when you download the template, you click a link for, Planet Earth, and then, United States, and then New York City, and then John Ricard. And I'm like, why doesn't it just know who I am when I downloaded the template to put my information in? And
that's more if you shoot multiple events in a day. You have to select which city and then pick which template it is. But
it should just know who I am. My computer knows, my phone knows who I am. GIF should know who I am. And then it does these other crazy things, like if you have to change a template, like if you told them it was going to be Snoop Dogg and Kendrick Lamar at the LA Forum, and then it turned into Snoop Dogg and Bow Wow at the LA Forum. Right. To make that change in the template, for me, is a nightmare. You're going into text files and modifying. You also
have to ask the desk to change their end.
Oh, I didn't even know that. But it's just it's so aggravating to use that program. For me, it's I have a beautiful workflow with Photo Mechanic and Lightroom and just FileZilla, and it's so simple to upload. And the idea that they kind of make you use their program, to me, it's
they have another option as well called Drop It. but not as many people use that.
They probably don't let you know that really. But I think it's honestly almost sort of insulting because you're acting like as a professional, I don't know how to do the right workflow.
Kind of holding your hand.
Yeah, like you're forcing me into your workflow. You know, everybody's got a different workflow. You're shooting Canon, I'm shooting Nikon. You have your own preferences. And if I want to use Photo Mechanic to Lightroom, why can't I do it? Why do I have to use a program that's clearly designed for editors and not photographers? The program's clearly designed for an editor handling images from multiple photographers. It's very clear that that's really what the program's made for. For a editor to be at an event and deal with the images coming from 5 different photographers and organize those images, capture them, and upload them. It's not made for the individual photographer. So, I don't know, that drives me crazy.
I've never even thought about it like that.
Well, that's why it says...
But my workflow is pretty built in now with GIF. I mean, I've been doing
used
it for
to it,
so
right?
long.
Like, I'm fast with it.
As you know.
Right. But that's why it says to you, like, that's why it wants you to enter your initials. Like, why are you putting the initials of who captured the images? Obviously, it's you, they're your images. That's because they're expecting that an editor put in this information.
Some photographers have their own personal editors, too.
You know?
So, you know, some people have their assistant helping out, so they'll have their...
Yeah, but then they would keep track of that. That wouldn't be part of GIF. It's just whatever. I hate that program. Like, you wouldn't build that into the program. You would just tell that guy, deal with it. You got to know who captured your images. But whatever. Enough on GIF. It drives me crazy in any event. But one of the things that I wanted to say that I like a lot is you were very helpful to me that particular night. And I think that's just a beautiful thing that I did just want to talk about, when people can be that way, because first you were giving me a little bit of information about, like, hey, you may want to make sure the rate is what you think it is. Don't just assume the rate is this or that. You know, the night I met you.
Oh, well, because who sent you over to the event that we were working at wasn't one of our editors.
Right.
And so I wanted to make sure that, you know, Getty was cool with that before you start working a job.
But that was cool of you, because you could have just been like, I don't know, this dude, he's from New York, I live in LA, who fucking cares what happens with him. But it was very cool of you, you know, and we were both kind of working the same event, and you know, I was shooting the arrivals, and one of the funny things to me was it can be the most annoying thing in the world to do the arrivals, right? Because all these regular people come up, and then some of them want you to take my picture with your camera. Other ones want you to take the picture with the phone, and then you get these guys who try to tell you who they are, which is insane.
Oh, the one gentleman that was in 20 episodes of Entourage or whatever. That was really.
He gave me his entire resume, you know.
I walked up on you. Because I came out to check and see how everything was going, if anybody knew was coming up. And this guy was just yammering at you, and you looked like your head was going to explode.
Yeah.
And I said, hey, can you help me come identify someone inside real quick, please?
Right.
And you were like, no, let me get this guy.
Like,
I was like, all right.
Yeah, but that's very nice of you to do that. And then even at the end of the night, because at the end of the night, the editors who had been on site for the BET Awards, who would normally would have downloaded my card and captioned the job for me, because it's a big event, they would have done that. They were gone already. So you were going to drive to the office, where that is.
Which is close-ish here.
Close to where we are in Beverly Hills now. And then, you know, I'm like, I'm not driving to this office. I've been shooting all day. I'm tired. My legs hurt.
Half hour away.
Yeah, I'm done. It's 11:30. But you were kind enough to loan me a card, like a compact flash card, that I could put my images on, and you took my images in with you to save me the trouble of doing that. So I think that's great that you are that way, that you're extending yourself to help someone else who's in a similar position as you are. And I do stuff like that all the time.
There's no reason not to. I mean, and that's something... that's something back to Getty that they encourage a lot, you know, us helping each other out, because if there's, say there's someone shooting at the beginning of a carpet and someone shooting at the end of a carpet, and, you know, they can work together to make sure they get everything, or someone shooting inside and somebody shooting outside, like we did. You know, I was coming out to check with you, see if anyone new came in, and if I saw anybody come up that you might have missed, you know, we help each other, and in the end, it completely benefits Getty, and it also benefits BET, which was the client for the day.
Right, ultimately
to make sure
that
they
should be
get
the goal.
everything.
But there are some people that I'm sure you come across it where they're not helpful. They're elbowing everybody out the way, or like if one guy is just shooting it wrong, you can sabotage the whole thing. Like when I shot the 106 and Park tapings, for example, there was a spot not far from the stage that was in the shade with a black curtain. And I'm like, I want everybody in that black curtain in the shade. I'm going to get a beautiful portrait that looks like a studio shot.
Right.
So every chance I could get, I'm like, look, I need you in that spot with the shade. And I got a lot of people. I got a large percentage of them there. But when you have certain other photographers there who don't care about that, they're not looking at it, and they make the shot happen in a different place, then it becomes very difficult to get them to the better spot because they're like, we just did pictures, we just did them right here.
Yeah.
So, when people aren't right, it kind of just hurts everybody. So it's better when someone like you saying yourself is acting right, then we're both going to get better pictures, and Getty's going to get better pictures, and BET is going to get better. Everybody benefits, but
even competing agencies sometimes, they try to not necessarily like slit each other's throats, basically, not
right.
Or slit our throats because Getty's kind of like the one to catch or whatever.
Right.
But I try to help everyone out. I try to be positive or whatever, and a lot of the times it comes back to you. I'm not saying everybody comes back and is cool eventually, but I have won a few tough cookies over. So
that's the way I try to be too, is that I extend myself to people a lot. I never expected in return either from that person or from anyone, but I just try to operate the way I think you should operate without looking for whether it's going to come back to me. But I can't tell you how many times I've, helped other photographers with information or just whatever. But again,
it'll come back to you though.
Which kind of almost brings us to Blair, who's like here now, and let me take this camera. Blair's been filming. Now, Blair is someone whom I don't know that well in a sense that we had some contact on like Twitter and Instagram, and I get really confused when I get those contacts with people because I can't. Everybody's names, like, what is your name on Instagram?
It's like B Swaggernaut.
Yeah, like if your name is going to be like B Swaggernaut, then I'm just going to have no idea who you are because I'm not going to correlate that with your real name, and if your Twitter name is different, whatever. But, he wrote something like, I like your work a lot, I'd love to hook up with you when you're in LA. Something to that effect, just something along that line. So I'm like, yeah, come on down, and this is really going to be the first conversation that I'm having with Blair, but I like the idea of having people who are trying to break into the business in the same room or same table outside. Same park as people who are succeeding at this and making a living at it. And I know I'm not exactly where I want to be. You may feel, you, Chelsea, are not where you want to be exactly. But you're still in position that Blair would probably kill to be in, and he'd probably kill to be in the position that I'm in. So I like the idea of having that conversation with people. So let's together try to figure out where is Blair and what should Blair be doing in order to build a successful photography career. So give us a little information about yourself in terms of what you shoot, what you've managed to accomplish, and what you're trying to do in photography.
Hello, everyone. Like you said, I'm Blair Caldwell, and I've been doing photography probably for about 5 years, and I used to go to the BET Awards every single year. And as a kid, from Texas, my dad used to take me and my sister to the BET Awards. And we didn't have any tickets, didn't know how we were going to get in, but my dad was like, let's go out there and give it a shot. My dad's a preacher, so he's real huge on faith or whatever like that. So, long story short, we came to the BET Awards, and Stephen Hill gave me my first pair of tickets. And me and my sister, he gave us 3 tickets. We met him in the hallway, and I told him my circumstance and what we really wanted to do, and he gave us our first pair of tickets. So long story short, fast forward, over the years I waited till I got 21 to audition for the BET Ultimate Fan. And when I auditioned for it, I remember you being in part of the photos.
That's funny because I don't remember that, but I believe you.
You were there taking photos, and I was like, I would love to do that. I would love to take photos.
So that was a year ago. So what have you done from that year till now? Because this year your sister won?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's weird. But
so in December I graduated from the Art Institute of Dallas with a degree in photography.
Okay.
And I wanted to make a goal to come to LA to take photos in the industry.
Right. Now, where do you live right now?
I live in Birmingham.
So you live in California. How long have you lived here?
I just moved here in March.
In March, and you're filming this in what, June? July 1st, essentially? Yeah. Right. Okay, so you've been here like 3 months.
Yes,
right. So what have you managed to shoot, either from the time you've been in LA or from the time that you graduated in December to now?
I shot headshots for a lot of
How have you built that work? How have you found the people? How have you promoted that?
I went to auditions because I sing and like do acting on the side.
Right.
Any other entertainment stuff. So what I do is I go to like auditions, and like while I'm there, I talk to some of the actors that's in the line with me. Like, hey, headshots, I can do them.
Right.
So
and around what type of rate have you managed to get? This ballpark figure of the range that can go from low to high end.
Well, I was really successful at it in Dallas. That was
right.
kind of like my job. So I was able to pay
Right.
$2,000. But that changed when I got to LA because I didn't know anybody. So probably I say I've been doing this for like $75.
Right. Okay.
And so that's just like for me, like we got food and stuff like that.
Right. Right, just get something. What else have you shot besides the headshot stuff in the time that you've been here?
March, I went to New York and I shot with Magic Records.
Okay.
My sister won a competition to him. He got me, and then he got her, and then he was with him.
Oh, that's cool.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, right?
Got me. So
right,
it was cool. And then we talked, and he looked at my portfolio, and he gave me some advice, and then I came back and I used it as he told me.
Right. What's in your book right now?
What's in my book is all my graduating photos when I graduated.
What does that mean? The stuff you shot in college in December?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Well, from the course of the time I've been in college. So I was in college for 2 years.
Right.
So it's 2 years worth of work.
Right. Okay. How much stuff have you shot that has not been stuff that you were trying to make money on from December to now?
It's not in my book, so I would say probably about 8 jobs. Not many.
No, I'm saying how many things have you shot that were not a paid job that you just instigated on your own?
Oh, a lot. Probably like 30.
And what's the majority of stuff you shoot?
Charity.
Like what?
I did. I have a charity thing called the Blair Project. So I shot for that. I shot for charity event for pets. I shot for I shoot birthday parties for free, like the people that don't have like a lot of money.
Right. Oh, that's cool. And what's the ultimate goal? What are you trying to? What is it that you want to be able to do? Because we're going to try to get to some solutions, hopefully, in seconds. I know Chelsea's got 1 million of them coming up. You're going to be like, really? But what is the goal? What is it that you're trying to become or do as a photographer?
I would love to be a print photographer, shoot for like magazines, but I would love to start out shooting like for TV. I love these too. So my ultimate goal is to be a freelance shooter for a TV show or for a reality show or do like the associate, like just being able to shoot for Getty and like go out on the job and ongoing work. So I would love to do that.
Okay, so we're going to put the pressure on Chelsea first. So what are some things that you think he should be doing right now in order to make whatever it is that he wants to happen a reality? And I mean specifics. It's got to be really concrete, not like believe in yourself. What should he be doing?
Publicists are a good way to start meeting publicists, agencies, finding out the big publicists, the bigger agencies. There's a few in the design center. Going there, or even just emailing them and saying, "Hey, I'm a photographer. I know you guys have big events. I'd like to go shoot on. What can I do?" Or find a local website, magazine, something like that would take your content.
The equivalent of an LA Weekly or something.
Yeah, exactly. OC Weekly, LA Weekly, that kind of stuff. Even with music, the advice I give is even smaller sites. There's a ton of them. And just say, hey, I'm shooting for this, because the second you're shooting for something that gets the publicist, the event, whatever, visibility, then they're more likely to give you a credential because the spots on the card are limited.
Right.
There's a lot of billboards thrown, so you definitely not, but you definitely want to be able to contribute something to take up that spot. That's big.
And the publicist thing is funny to me because the interesting thing is that so many publicists that I met when I first started are still in the business, which is
they grow up
to me.
too.
Oh, of course, yeah, they move up. I've had people be interns, and then they're like literally the director of publicity for like Sony Records. People that I've known for 10 and 15 years, and yeah, as you make some of these contacts, some of them really can stick around for like 10 years and still be relevant in your career. And obviously you want to come in the right way with quality work and quality of service, that stuff gets turned in when it should. And I think being respectful and nice to everybody you come across, in a sense that that intern can turn into the publicist. And I've had it. I mean, I've had it. The intern who I was just trying to get the free record from back in the days, because the interns were always cool. You could just be like, yeah, you got the new Lauryn Hill album, and they would just give it to you. You could always get it from the intern. They don't know anything, They were like, well, we need copies for spin. They would just like give you the stuff. But that same intern would turn into be the person hiring you a few years later. So I think being good to everybody that you meet
And the people you make friends with when they are small are the ones that stick with you. Because they remember that you knew them and you were cool to them when they couldn't pull strings to get you in places.
No,
because everyone hits them up when they get big.
Of course, right.
And so a lot of the people I started out with before I even shot for Getty are now, a lot bigger. And the relationship, our relationship is unchangeable. They will never ask for anybody but me ever.
See, that's cool. That's right. Now, one of the tricky things is the shooting for free is a really tricky thing, because to some degree you do have to do it. In other words, I can give you two pieces of conflicting advice right now. And the thing that I think is interesting is that things can be contradictory, but they're still both correct. It's just a belief that I have, is that two things can be in contradiction, but they're both correct. An example I give you of that is take a 17-year-old girl who wants to get a tattoo or some crazy piercing. Because she wants to get it, and the mom says, don't get it. Well, who's right? They're both right. Because at 17, you're supposed to do stupid stuff like get a piercing that you're going to regret. And as a mom, you're supposed to tell your daughter, don't get the piercing. No one's wrong. They both have a role to play, the 17-year-old and the adult. So the two pieces of information sound contradictory, but they're really not. They both make sense. So I could say to you that you should be shooting a lot of things for free to kind of build a body of work and to build a reputation and to get some stuff you can show people and to build relationships and to be out there shooting, and that's going to be a way for you to get your foot in the door and then transition to paid work. But I could also say to you that you should not shoot for free, because a lot of times the people you're shooting for free have money. And you mentioned charities, and a lot of times these guys are in an office. It's well, who's paying the rent? Who's paying the phone bill? Who's paying the cell bill? Who's paying lunch? And they're coming at you for free, and you're like, you guys are making money. And charity, to me, unless you're in Haiti, building a house with some bricks and some mortar, it's just all bull to me. Every charity in the world, unless you're right there, unless you're in the Peace Corps and you're up to your knees in malaria or mud, then it's just BS. And I like when I'm walking in Manhattan, these guys stop you oh, can we talk to you about the kids? And they try to make you sign something, give you money. And I just ridicule them, and I'm just you standing on this corner is not going to help any child in the world. You're just kidding yourself, and you're not taking a dime from me. Or you're at Walmart, and then they go oh, do you want to donate $1 for the children? I'm no, I'm not giving you another $1 for anything. I just spent $40 on some stuff here. So we have to be very careful with the working for free, because on some level, if the work is good, then it should be generating money now, whether or not you're new or not. I'm sure you listen to some hip-hop, and there's artists who are brand new, like a Chief Keef, he's 17. Well, he's not saying I'm going to rap on your record for free. It's if it's a hot verse that's going to make your song hot, then pay me for the verse. So
look how new Macklemore is.
Say that again?
Look how new, on the scene, well-known, just becoming well-known Macklemore is.
Right.
And I guarantee he's not doing free shows.
Right. He's not saying, well, because I'm new, I'm free. He's going to say,
he has the talent.
Right. It's how much is this verse worth, and I'm going to charge you for it. So you've got to find a balance with those things, and there's no easy answer for that.
Can I interject? I always say never ever shoot for free. That's a big thing for me, because once you're the free photographer, you're always the free photographer. They'll never respect you as a paid person. They're going to go, oh, we can get this guy for free, and then we'll hire Kevin Mazer as well.
Right. And that does happen. It really does happen. That does happen.
But I have given a photo or two away in exchange for something. Not necessarily money, but I wasn't shooting for free. Say I get special access to someone, or I get an exclusive with somebody that no other photographer will get in exchange for, hey, I'll give you a photo to use on your press release, or something like that. Right. I don't, when I give photos away, in those rare cases, I don't allow them to use them for very many things. It'll be this is for your Facebook, your website, or a press release, and that's it. Now, if you want to run it in a magazine, you're going to have to buy it.
Right, that's a huge point. That's a very interesting point, because that's advice that I would not have thought to give, and now I'm going to use that I came up with that. And you're going to be I said that on podcast 19, and now he went around saying he came up with it. But it's an interesting thing. If you did shoot for free, the two components she's saying, very interesting. On the one hand, she's saying, one, ask for something in return. Hey, if I'm shooting it for free, then give me better access than the other photographers.
So
or
you
give
can
me
make
more
money
time.
off of
Right.
on the back end.
Or at least maybe get a much hotter shot than you would have gotten the regular way.
Right, but
Something.
I mean, it would be something that you would be able to sell, say through Getty or whatever your outlet is on your own, that you would not have otherwise and nobody else has because you got this access.
Yeah, that's huge. And the second idea of if you're going to shoot it for free, well then there's only a limited rights granted. Like, yeah, you can use it on your site, you can use it on whatever, but you certainly can't put it on a t-shirt and sell it. Making clear that there are limitations to what they can do with this free picture. But
Promoting yourself.
Right. Right, it's for promotion and not for like commercial. I think that's
for your
huge,
social media,
you know?
and that's about it. No press release if you need it for an event.
Right. And I think you can also set limits on it. Like with this one particular client, you could be like, look, I shot for you twice for free. I'm not doing it a third time. And you're hiring someone for this other event, or you hired someone yesterday. Why can't you hire me? Setting a concrete limit on the free because it really can be a trap. And like Chelsea said, a lot of times, we all do it. We all do it. We know what restaurant has the cheap food and what restaurant has the good food. You just understand those things, and it happens with photographers too. You know, that's the free guy and that's the paid guy.
The value you place on yourself.
Right, that you have to establish and let them respect it. And I know for me, I'm proud of the fact that I personally don't do that. If makeup artists come out and work for me for free, when I get a paid gig, I call the free makeup artist.
Yes.
I do not allow myself to do what has been done to me and say, she's the girl who's going to come out for free, and let me go hire this other makeup artist who always gets a check. No, I actually go back and reward the people who shot with me for free. I make a point of it, but not everyone does that. I think you have to be aware of it. Now, I'm going to give you one other piece of advice, but we're going to make Chelsea do another one. Give me some more concrete advice before I get, because you know the number one complaint, this is the 19th podcast, you know the number one complaint about this podcast? You want to take a wild guess?
That you are way too adorable for the camera.
I wish. I wish. I'm wearing a hat so you don't see how bald my head is. No, the number one complaint is that I talk too much. I go, do people tell Howard Stern he talks too much on his own show, or Joe Rogan? So
is there even talking on your show? I mean, or is it mostly visual?
On Howard, Howard talks.
Just saying.
He does good visuals though, but you do listen. So somehow I talk too much on my own podcast. So we're throwing it back to you again.
Oh, no.
Give us another piece of advice, and it could be anything. It can even just be technical. It could
Believe in yourself.
Here she goes.
Okay.
Give me another piece of advice that you're going to give him, or if you have another question that you're going to throw to her, do that. You have a question you want to ask her?
Yeah. How did you get in?
She's going to give an annoying story that's so easy. Like, I hate when people give a story
It just
that's
happens.
easy. Oh, I hate that because you want to hear that it's a struggle. Watch the story.
Basically, well, what I did was I was on Model Man.
Were you as a photographer or a model?
As a photographer.
Okay.
And I still have a profile on there. I'm not super active, but occasionally it's good for
I
finding
have one
models
there
in a
too.
pinch.
Yeah, I have one there. As well.
But I was on there and I found some really, put it this way, a fashion show that I would not shoot now. And they wouldn't have the budget now. It was like at a nightclub where like 20 designers had like thrown racks of clothes in there and they were walking up to the bar basically.
Right.
And I met someone there who took me to another fashion show the next day, which was a Carl Knight fashion show. And then I met someone there who was like this really shady LA personality sort of person, kind of like a club promoter, but not even. And he'd throw red carpets outside of really dead clubs and invite someone that was on a reality show 20 seasons ago and call it a celebrity event.
Puck is on the show.
Call it Puck would have been good. And I literally, I was so green and so naive, and I fell for this guy talking all this crazy big game. And I drove, at that point I lived in San Diego. I drove from San Diego to LA multiple nights a week.
That's
so
hours,
shoot for this guy.
That's far. Yeah.
3 hours or so.
Wow.
Multiple nights a week to shoot for this guy for free and for his website. And did it for beginning of 2008 all the way to September when, I had met people through these events. Someone took me to the Ricard Emmys. That was pretty much my biggest thing. And I had like a good shot of Mario Lopez in my book, or what I thought was a good shot of Mario. Back then, for me, it was a good shot.
Right.
and a couple C-list people. And I emailed Getty and I said, hey, what can I do to either submit to you or go out on assignments on your behalf? And here's my website, let me know. And I got an email back saying you have an interview Tuesday.
And see, that's super, that's annoying because it's so simple. It's like one email, and I would not say that that's the norm.
No, it's definitely not. They just happen to be looking at that point. And, you know, they probably, at that point there weren't a lot of females on the photography team either, so that's probably also a benefit. And
yeah, there's a certain amount of
my photography was not that great back then. I am really ashamed. I found my old book because I went to like Walmart or Costco, and I printed out books and I put brought
the family album,
and I brought in that big portfolio, and they were kind of like, oh yeah, hey, because I don't think anyone even did that for me.
Yeah, that's a rarity. Like I said, that you can't use that as a guide. And then if I were to try to answer that question, I would actually say my story started so long ago that it's not even relevant in 2013. It's just not, so I'm not even going to bother. It was just different. Everybody wasn't a photographer. It's not relevant. 106. I have covered 106 for many years. You know, I used to shoot for an agency called Retina, and then I shot for an agency called Corbis, and now I service through Getty. So when BET has big artists there, they'll invite people from the different agencies to come and cover it. So over the years, they've invited me down there 1 million times. And they've hired me for a lot of just shoots, like studio shoots and things like that. So when they decided they wanted a steady photographer there for every show, they chose me first, I guess, because they liked the quality of what I'd done and how I behaved on set.
Relationships.
Relationships. But a lot of people will go on a set like 106 and not understand. Like I have a studio in New York. It's my world. I can go wherever I want to go, do whatever I want to do. I'm playing my music. I'm joking with everybody. If I'm on 106, it's not my set, and I'm very respectful of that.
It's huge in this industry.
Yeah, you should have to understand
kind of
that.
When you walk into a place, judge what's around, see what the demeanor is, and if everyone's kind of being quiet and mindful of something, don't go in there, yelling.
Right, you're not putting on a comedy show if that's not the mood there. You understand? And again, in my studio, I can set whatever tone I want. When I go to 106, I behave a certain way, and I think that sort of helped, that they knew I could be on that set and not be that intrusive, and I could take good photographs. So that's how that worked out for me. When they wanted someone every day, they gave it to me, and I like it because it's not so much the money, because the rate is not what I would want it to be, but I like the fact that most days I shoot, I'm the only person there shooting, and that's rare. A lot of a test. Yeah, it's all exclusive, and when you're shooting celebrity, there's always 5 or 6 guys around. So I love the fact that most days it's just me, and I've created some really good work there.
Also, I've seen it.
Oh, yeah, it's good. But 2 pieces of advice that I would give to you or anyone else starting off. One is, I think you should know the technical inside and out. And I'm not going to put you on a spot with it, even though it's tempting as it is. But what I've done to my assistants is I'll just say to them okay, I'm at f8 and I need more light. What do I turn the dial to? What's next on an aperture ring? And you should know that. You should know.
F9.
No, she's tired. We're going to send her home, okay? But you should know that stuff, because the people who are succeeding in this, they do know it. They may not care about it, and that may not be the foundation of their photography, but they know those technical things, and they do make a difference. You understand? I dial in a white balance when I shoot at 106 in Park. I dial in a Kelvin number. I understand what white balance is and what it means and how it affects the color, and I have a number that I dial in that looks good at 106 in Park. You understand? I know what I'm doing in a technical sense, and I think a lot of people try to skip that today because the cameras really are so good. She's got her hand up. My iPhone will nail every shot perfectly. It's beautiful. The technology is that good. But I think you should still understand it. You should understand the difference between trying to do a headshot with a 50mm lens versus an 85, and how one of those choices is going to produce a not flattering photograph, and one will be flattering in terms of perspective. You should understand what perspective distortion is. That fisheye look that you're going to get from the 50 because you're too close. You should understand those things. And a lot of people don't. And when you understand it, it can open the door for you, because when you want to do something, you understand how to accomplish it. Understand, if I want to shoot Chelsea in a shade or Chelsea in a sun, it's my technical ability that can make that vision come through, because I understand what I would do differently to shoot her in the sun versus to shoot her in shade. You understand that? I think that's very important. I think a lot of people skip it today because you could just go to program and get a good photograph.
P for
Okay.
professional.
Professional mode.
P
You
is
see
for
that?
professional.
Go to professional. And the other, this is the piece of advice I've given many times in the podcast, but I am going to repeat it because I don't know if people hear this podcast once and never come back. I don't know. So, but this I think is
After
really.
today, that is true.
I hope not. But here's the main point of advice that I would give is you've got to look at it as if it's really only you, and there are no clients and there are no agencies, meaning you have to be your own content creator. That's where things are moving toward. Everything is benefiting the content creator. But a photographer who does what I do at BET, which is they put on a television show and I come and photograph it, that person is going to be increasingly interchangeable and not necessary. If I quit BET tomorrow, it's going to take them 5 minutes to replace me. You understand? And that's why, like, if you look at like my Instagram prior to last week's podcast with Sean Cummings's show, who kind of put me in a slightly different perspective about Instagram, I didn't put any of that stuff on my Instagram because it wasn't a reflection of John Ricard, it's a reflection of BET. That content belongs on BET's website, not my Instagram, because it's got nothing to do with me. I look at it like
It
anybody
gets you a
can
lot
shoot
more
it.
followers, and social media is my big thing.
Well,
so.
this is what the guy who was on last week, Sean Cummings, was saying, no, you got to put it up there. But we talked about that last week. But so now I put it up, and sure enough, the likes went from like 15 to 45. So it's a game, though. But I don't look at that book as representing John Ricard. It's a TV show, and I just shoot it. What you need to be doing is you need to be creating your own content that you don't need to depend on anyone else to do. Some type of content that you could wake up Sunday morning at 3 a.m. and go shoot that content. Because you're either shooting your best friends, or you're shooting your city, or you're shooting your life, or it's some kind of shoot that you are pulling together. You're paying a model, you're paying a location fee, you're paying a stylist, you're creating a look. You have to be your own content creator. This is huge. This is not the case 15 years ago. Because 15 years ago, if I needed a picture done, I had to hire a photographer to shoot it. Today, if I need a picture done, I can shoot it myself. And again, last week, podcast number 18, we had a guy named Sean Cummings. He's a publisher of a magazine called Show Magazine. It's like a girl magazine, or bikinis, the half naked, whatever. For 7 years, he has hired a photographer to shoot it. Starting 2 months ago, he shoots the magazine himself. He's the publisher. He comes to my studio, he shoots the magazine himself. Because the vision is already figured out. We want this type of girl, we want her in this kind of lighting, we want her in this kind of pose. Once all of that is figured out, anybody could shoot it. So if you're the guy banging down the door trying to say, hey, I can do what John Ricard does and I can shoot BET, BET is going to go, yeah, you're right, but who cares? You can shoot it, John Ricard can shoot it, and Chelsea Lauren can shoot it. I don't care which one we pick. Just like when they hired Getty, sometimes they're doing what Chelsea said. They're going, and we want Chelsea. Other times they're going, we want Chelsea, and we need a second shooter, send anybody.
All the time.
Correct? So,
Or just whoever you have on hand.
send them down. So what you need to be doing is you can't let that, you have to be the guy that we know, he shoots skateboarders at dark, or he shoots whatever, whatever, a tattoo artist who moved here from Oregon. That's what he shoots. There has to be a thing that you shoot, that you create that content that you become known for, so that you are 100% relying on yourself for content. When you want a new piece for your portfolio, so if I want a new piece for my book, if I'm saying, well, I'm going to wait the next 2 weeks and see who BET brings through, and I'm going to shoot them and add a picture to my book, I'm dead in 2015. I'm dead. I need to be saying, I want something new in my book, I'm going to go tomorrow and shoot it. You have to be controlling your own content. Think of yourself not as someone who documents things, someone who creates content. You follow what I'm saying? I think that's the number one single best piece of advice I can give you. Become a content creator and not someone who shoots other people's content. Don't aspire to that. And then take those gigs and just let them be fun things. They're like, for me, the BET Awards, that was a lot of fun. It was crazy, but it was fun. And that's what that needs to be. But don't let that become your number one type of shooting. Find a thing that you shoot, like a painter. Understand? Who creates his own stuff, or a music artist. Okay? And the last way I'll say it, the way I've explained it on a podcast before, is it's like a cover song otherwise. If I shoot BET and you shoot BET, it's as if you take 2 artists doing the same record.
But it's not your own vision. It's someone else's vision.
It's someone else's song. It's my interpretation of it, but ultimately it's the same song. So if I shoot BET, you shoot BET, and she shoots it, It gets a little different because we're all different people, but ultimately it's still a picture of
this weekend
someone,
when I shot the panels. I mean,
right.
the lighting's beautiful, perfect lighting.
Right.
Got some beautiful like headshots on Pharrell and Nick Cannon or whatever,
Right.
but I didn't set it up. I didn't dress them. They're just sitting in a chair, and I happened to get a great shot.
Right.
Now, whether or not other people see that and know that is another story, but for my own creative soul, it's not satisfied at all. You know,
Right.
I'm doing something else.
And I'm sure you've had the experience. You see a picture in the magazine and you go, is that my shot? And then it's not, because it looks just like yours.
All the time, and you have to read the little side thing,
Right.
and you're like, oh wow, it's not my shot, darn.
Right. So,
all the time.
So the point is, if that's the only thing you're shooting, if that's the only thing you're shooting, or if that's what you're aspiring to, you're dead. You understand? Because you're interchangeable and you're replaceable. But on the other hand, if you look at that music analogy again, if you write a song and she writes a song and I write a song, they're 100% different. Or if I shoot my life, like my life is like my daughter, my wife, jujitsu, and a lot of sitting around the house playing on a computer. I don't know what your life is. I don't know what her life is, but if we shoot our lives, it's going to be totally different pictures. So you've got to find something that you create, the type of content you create, and you need to be shooting that like crazy and documenting that, becoming known for that, and then use all those events and things as like secondary to make money and to have fun and to pay the rent. But really become a content creator. Think of yourself as a content creator and not as a photographer who documents other stuff. It's my absolute best piece of advice. And know the technical.
Since you want to do what we do to an extent, can I throw out a huge piece of advice?
Yes, please.
One of, the technical aspect and who you know, that's important.
Right.
But with me, and I feel like where I'm different from most of the other photographers, is I'm big on the social aspect.
Right.
Making the friends, making the relationships and the friendships, but also knowing how and when to approach talent. That's huge. Like, I can tell from 20 feet away whether or not a certain actor that I've shot 10 times is in a good mood or a bad mood, if he's in the mood for a photo or not. There's a particular actor that hates being photographed. Hates. Like, he ducks. He was in Fashion Week, and he sat second row in the dark center of the computer. Like, hates. Mm-hmm. And we have this running joke now. When I walk up, I'll be like this, and he knows that I won't actually take his picture. And so when I do need a photo, and he won't always say yes, but when I do need a photo, I know how to approach him and say, hey, can I get the shot? I really need it for my client. And he'll be like, fine, but he'll do it for me because he knows that I respect his boundaries. Just like I had a couple of, and this is huge because publicists know that they can trust me. Managers know they can trust me. I had a couple of really big stars walk off their behinds at a party, and they were goofing off and like grabbing at each other, and these are both men, and they're like pretending they were going to kiss and just being stupid in front of my camera, and the agent like didn't know me, and he like I swear it was like he was in a baseball game, like dove between the camera and me. But I looked at him, I was like, I didn't shoot it. Like,
I'm the same way.
Don't even worry about it, because I want the talent next time they see me to be like, see, we can be ourselves around this girl, and we know that if there's anything intimidating or weird, or we have a couple of drinks, like, she won't go and blast this.
That's how I look at it. I'm part of the system, so I'm not going to betray that system. If I snuck in or whatever, then I can do what I want to do. But if I came in with your permission, I'm part of everything, then yeah, I have to portray you in a good light.
But a lot of photographers are out to get that one bad shot of someone, and the expert shot of Paris Hilton, or whatever it may be. But like, I know a photographer that shot Black Eyed Peas, and shouldn't have said the name. Anyway, one of them had an extremely embarrassing episode, and this photographer photographed it and posted it, and it went viral. And she's the only one that posted it. That woman is now banned from shooting anything the Black Eyed Peas does.
Right.
Anything that their management, any other bands or artists their management touches, she's banned. Right. So that one shot she may have made a couple grand off of, but in the long run, is it really worth it? Right.
Yeah. If you want to be, and I personally think if you came in though with permission, that's a violation to do that. Like, again, if you snuck in, okay, maybe you can shoot whatever you want. But if you had an agreement with the publicist that you're going to come cover it, it's implied that you're there because you're going to portray things in a good light. You're not a journalist at that point. You're part of the system. When you come in with permission, in my opinion.
See, that's another thing I'm big on is not doing things without permission. I will always ask first, and if the publisher says no, they say no. I have never snuck in somewhere I'm not supposed to be, and I've lost shots for it. I have. But if that publicist recognizes that you did something against their wishes or outside the rules, then you can end up being banned from all their events forever, and you only get one reputation in this industry, and it's a very small industry.
And that makes sense for being with like Eddie or being under a contract because you just like freelance photographer. You trying to get a shot for for whatever you like shoot, you sneak in, and get shots and stuff like that. I feel that's a little bit different.
Yeah, because you're not working for the system.
But if you're under contract,
true. But you really want the publicist or the manager or the agent knowing you as the person that doesn't obey their rules.
Connected to that, right?
You only your reputation is the single most important thing you can have in the industry.
Right.
And then I'm very. I don't agree with paparazzi work. I don't know if you do that, John.
I don't, but the guy who co-hosts Ray Tomorrow does, and we argue about it all the time on the podcast.
I am extremely anti-pap. And while I do know some people, and I'm friendly with some people that do both because they're on the line, they're near me, I won't, and if there's a publicist that's watching me, I won't be associated with them.
Right.
I have extremely strong personal moral codes as to what I will do. And if an artist is not, or a talent is not aware that I am photographing them and okay with me photographing them, I won't do it.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I don't do it either.
And that goes straight back to that money shot of the two big actors goofing off and like grabbing each other behind or whatever it may be. That shot could have made me, I don't even want to know how much, but I didn't shoot it.
Right.
And
I'm with you on that. I completely agree with that.
It's a violation of people's privacy.
Ray has a whole different opinion.
Yeah, I feel like
the other side.
They're actors. Their job is not to be stalked 24 hours a day.
Right.
Oh, yeah, anyway.
But we're going to wrap there. I thank both of you for being here. This was a lot of fun for me. I hope you got something out of this, Blair. I appreciate you, Chelsea, for coming down and talking to us.
Thank you for having me.
Time. And thank everybody for watching this thing, for watching the podcast and listening to the podcast and all of that. This was a lot of fun. Okay, let's go through where we find us. I'm on Instagram at John Ricard, JohnRicard. You can find me there. Where do we find Chelsea?
My Twitter and my Instagram is Chelsea Lauren, LA, CHELSEALADRENLA, and my Facebook is Chelsea Lauren.
All right, hopefully we'll find you. And Blair, where do we find you?
On Instagram at Swaggernaut.
We're both laughing at the name. We want him to just become Blair. What is it?
Caldwell.
Hey, at least he has a little bit of flair,
He's not as boring as me, but wait, say the name. Spell it again because I stepped all over it. Go.
Blair Swaggernaut is Swag, and it's not like and you can my photography website is fastphotography.com.
Got it. All right. Thank you, everybody. I'm going to go finish enjoying LA, and I really thank you guys for putting some time into this.
Thank you for having us.
It's a lot of fun, guys. All right. Bye-bye. That's it.